He's not dead.
Okay, well that's a perfect segue into the next question. your emotional rants here. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. Real quick before questions, we have to send a shout out and a thank you to Avenging Knight, who joined our Patreon at the Jedi Council level, which is our highest level. That is insanely generous, so thank you so much, Avenging Knight. Also, you can see here we have Bo-Katan's Black Series helmet. This was a gift from Hasbro that came with a lot of gifts as part of Hasbro Pulse's Mandomania. Well, as you can probably see from our background, we have this helmet, so we thought we would give this one away. There is a link down in the description to join the giveaway. I'm going to leave it open all the way through Star Wars Celebration. I just figured that this will be a Star Wars Celebration giveaway because we're not going to be around to announce the winner until after Celebration anyway. So the Q&A after Star Wars Celebration, we'll announce the winner and we'll send it out.
This week's Q&A is going to be all Bad Batch related since we just got the finale, so let's get into it. Maddie Gunner, Stephanie Rydell, Jack Mountford, and Hiromatsu all ask, how dare they?
How dare they? Great question.
How dare they?
Just horrible. And we have a question specifically about, the event that we're discussing, but man, the finale really blindsided me.
Yeah.
It did not go the way I thought it would at all.
No, we've been saying for weeks now, the finale, they'll go to Mount Tantus, they'll save Crosshair, blah, blah, blah. How stupid we look.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a happy week, and it just was the complete opposite to have them take tech from us, and then while the survivors are all grieving, have Sid betray them. I just couldn't fathom that happening.
It was such a gut punch. And it was not just a gut punch. It was 3 gut punches.
If someone had brought that potential ending up in a live stream in the chat, just hey, what if this happens? I would have been no way, too dark. There's no way they would do something that sad.
They've been going pretty dark this season.
And I've seen people say, how dare Dave Filoni do this? I want to make it clear, we've always tried to give credit where it's due. Jennifer Corbett is the head writer of this series.
So blame her.
Yeah, exactly. We give credit where it's due. Also, let's not blame Dave Filoni. I don't think he did this.
He gets writing credits on everything, just like George Lucas does.
Well, he gets series created by.
Right.
The concept of the series was his idea, but even he's is really great at this as well. At Celebration last year, he introduced the Bad Batch panel and was but this is all the hard work of this team, and brought them out.
Yeah.
But Dave Filoni gets praise and also blame when he kills Kanan, for example. So Jennifer Corbett deserves praise, but also blame when she does something like this, which I want to make clear. The episode was really great, very emotional and moving. Yeah. It's just we were very distraught, and a lot of people still are.
And we don't want to send people after Jennifer Corbett
not
either,
at all,
because we've loved this show, and especially this season has been amazing. But part of the reason why I loved this season so much is because Tech has been my favorite from the very beginning, and we got so much great Tech stuff in season 2. And for that ending, he's not dead.
Okay, well that's a perfect segue into the next question. your emotional rants here.
Jane Dalton, Cullen Watkins, Chris Ray, Brandon Martian, Ryan Hammond, Starchasm all ask if Tech could still be alive. Yes, there was no body. Hemlock found his goggles. He found him, and he wasn't all the way dead. He was probably in rough shape, but he's in Mount Tantus now. You better believe it. He's on one of those tables strapped down, which is also awful, but not as bad as being dead.
He's not gone forever. That's we were doing a live stream for this episode, and people were really, really going through the stages of grief. We went through denial. Yeah, we're in the bargaining stage now. I forget when anger pops up. I guess we just kind of went through that moments ago, but we're definitely in the bargaining stage of crafting theories to find out how he could still be alive. I am going to accept what they've shown us and say that he is dead. But He's dead until he's not, because, this is Star Wars, and a fall from a great height has been survived many times. Even when you're cut in half, it's not a death sentence.
Yeah.
So it's different for Tech, but still, we didn't see a body. A lot of people have pointed out the similarities of the mouth of Sauron in Lord of the Rings, showing everyone, like, we have Frodo's mithril shirt. It's proof that he's dead. Very similar to Hemlock being like, I have his goggles. He's definitely dead, when maybe he's not. So I'm going to just assume he is gone, but I will cheer so loud to be proven wrong.
Yep.
And heck, I was proven wrong a lot this past episode, so keep that trend going.
Yeah, I kept talking myself through my feelings during the live stream, and I came to the thought of, we got so much character development in specifically Tech, the other Bad Batch members too, but Tech got so much attention in season 2 about him learning how to be less robotic with his
less analytical, more empathetic.
Right. Like he's learning how to have a better conversation with people. He's learning how to connect emotionally to other people, which is great. He represented, a neurodivergent character in Star Wars. A lot of people got really attached to that, as they should. Like, it was a really beautiful thing to see in Star Wars, and to have that taken away so quickly is rough. But all that being said, I think it would be even more meaningful if we did see Tech turned into kind of like a robotic killing machine by Hemlock, and then,
like we saw in the mid-season episodes.
Yeah. So, like, Hemlock's gonna do, if he has Tech and he's not dead, he's gonna do some weird experiments on him. Maybe create the first Death Trooper. But if we can get Tech to come back from all of that, it'll be like a full circle moment for him.
Because he had, like, done that. I think so much of the Bad Batch is how they were very much caricatures when we met them. Like, it was just the smart one, the strong one, the mean one, and the leader. They were just these archetypes, and over the course of 2 seasons, we have seen them grow and evolve and change, so that that's not all they are. And yeah, Tech is a prime example of that. So I like the idea that his own personal work on himself could lead to him kind of saving himself if Hemlock attempts something like that.
Yeah. And now that Omega is on Mount Tantus, if Tech were to be there somewhere, maybe her and Crosshair would be the ones to find him and bring him back. Damien Vonderhaar and Robert Miller ask who Echo's contact was.
Yeah, Echo mentioned a contact, or maybe it was several contacts over the course of the episode. I'm going to just assume it's a clone that's trying to keep their identity a secret. They mentioned that they have some deep undercover clones feeding them information, so I think that's probably who he is referring to. I don't know that it's a specific clone that we know already.
What if it's Scorch?
Oh, that would be interesting. I mean, like, they have pointed out this one Republic commando and kind of singled him out. So yeah, I mean, I like that idea.
That would make sense, and that would connect a lot of dots, I think, if he were just kind of working deep undercover.
Because I'm trying to think, he has been around when, like, all the Republic commandos rounded up the civilians after the Zillo Beast thing. He stunned Omega, captured Omega. Like, he's done some things, but it could be all in the service of staying undercover. He hasn't. Right. I can't remember if he's killed anyone on screen.
Yeah. Or, I mean, it could also be that, like, we still haven't seen where Cody is. Cody could be deep undercover somewhere as a clone commando.
Oh, like he just put on different armor?
Yeah.
I think he's out. I think he hopefully has joined Rex's group, but I don't think he's hiding in the Empire. I don't know. If anyone saw his face, he's got that scar, and it's like, hey, aren't you Cody? Hey, didn't you leave?
Yeah.
I think that would raise some questions.
Maybe the commandos have their own creed. They don't take their helmets off.
Damien put forth that it might be Saw Gerrera. I don't think so, because I mean, obviously Saw had intel on the place, but if he was telling Echo about it, I think he would also be like, but also we're going to try to blow it up. So
Yeah. It could be the same contact that Saw has, though.
that'd be interesting. Yeah.
Maybe Luthen.
Nah, I don't think Luthen's feeding information to clones. I wonder what he's up to right now, though. That'd be interesting.
He's
to
just
see.
getting his shop set up.
Yeah, he's bought his first piece of art for his own undercover mission.
Kyle Barrett asks if Saw's attack would have mattered if successful.
I am going to take Tech at his word, and Tech said that no, it would not have. Like, they would have replenished their ranks. I don't really think it would have had a huge impact on galactic history.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Tech's line put it beautifully. Like, it doesn't matter blowing up and killing all of these guys. They'll just be replaced by potentially even worse guys.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think Tarkin is, like, worst of the worst within the Empire, but there are plenty of other Imperials just, like, waiting to take his spot. I believe he is replaceable. Krennic, honestly, like, he's replaceable. You know who's not is Galen Erso. Like,
right.
that is someone that maybe would have mattered. But it, like, Saw has a relationship with Galen and helps him escape and all that. So
Ramda would have taken over Project Stardust.
sure. Like, I loved seeing Krennic in that scene, but I think that is the point. And it fits really well with the themes of this season, where we see the clones being replaced. And in the episode The Outpost, Lieutenant Nolan, like, he thinks he's all big and important, and he gets shot, and it's like, do you think the Empire mourned him? No, they just replaced him with someone else. Like, everyone in the Empire is replaceable except for the Emperor. And even he, like, and he is, like, constantly trying to replace his own apprentices.
He's trying to create his own replacements.
Yeah, like, it's crazy, but he never plans for them to take over. He just is following the Sith way, despite he'll follow the Sith way and then bring in potential replacements for them just to keep them on their toes. Like, the replaceability of Imperial officers, I think, is a big theme of the series.
Ice Phoenix 2 asks if Sid will get a comeuppance or redemption.
I firmly believe that in Star Wars, you know, anyone can be redeemed. Like, that's a big theme of Star Wars as well, that redemption is always a possibility. I know, and Hilo agrees. So, yes, I think Sid can do something to redeem herself in season 3. The question is, will it be big enough for me to be willing to forgive her?
It's got to be real big. Like, it has to be a big deal, and I would say she'd would have to be playing a pivotal role in the rescue of Omega, but at this point I'm like, what would cause her to completely shift her opinion and want to do that?
Just guilt, maybe?
I mean, she's kind of been a bad person this whole time, and we got that bit from Malegi kind of warning the Bad Batch about her, and she seemed to want to
prove him right.
Well,
she said, I might surprise you.
Exactly. But, I mean, she did surprise us in the most terrible way.
Yeah, like, that line had me thinking the whole season, I'm sure the writers did this on purpose, that we're going to see her become a better person. She does, I think, deep down want to be a better person. So I think that she probably has that drive. She might come around in season 3 to help. I think that's more likely than a comeuppance. I hope that she doesn't just fade away like DJ in The Last Jedi, where it's like, well, I got what I want, and I'm going to get to go free, and all those people are going to die, but I'm not dying, so good on me. I hope that is not her story. I would rather see her get comeuppance than just disappear.
Yeah, I'm sure she does feel a level of guilt, because when she was kind of breaking it to Wrecker that this was happening, she was kind of talking herself into why this was the only option she had. She was like, I tried to look out for you boys. No, she didn't. She did a terrible job, if that's the case.
Yeah.
And she was kind of just like trying to convince herself as it was happening that she was doing the right thing. So there's potential for redemption, but it's gonna take something big.
There's always potential for redemption in Star Wars. I'm not rooting for hers right now. A lot of characters, I'm like Crosshair. The whole season, I was like, I want you to be better. I know you can do it. Right now, I do not feel that for Sid.
Matthew Stanbaum asks if we're disappointed we didn't get to Tantus.
So I was saying, as we got closer and closer to the finale, that all roads lead to Mount Tantus. And I mean, I still think they did. We got the Bad Batch trying to get there. We also had Hemlock and Scorch hunting for the Batch and Omega to bring them there. So I really do think that wound up being true, but we didn't get the catharsis of actually seeing them there and rescuing Crosshair. I'm not disappointed by it, though, because I was so surprised. I mean, I remember when the first episode ended, like, I thought they were going to get away on the rail car, and then they'd be like, well, now how do we find Crosshair? And then in the second episode, they would do it. But the fact that it ended with them stuck on the rail and then it began the way it did, I didn't see any of that coming. And I would rather be surprised, even if it hurts. I would rather that be how the story comes out instead of just being like, I called it.
Yeah, I guess the one plus side of all of this is we had speculated if this was going to be it. This was going to be the last season, and we wouldn't get anything after that, and they were going to have to wrap it all up in the last 2 episodes. So because that's not the case, season 3 hasn't been confirmed yet, but I'm assuming it will be at Celebration. The upside of all this is we get to see more of Mount Tantus. Like, that, it is a super interesting place. Hemlock is an amazing villain. I want to explore that place a little bit more, find out anything else about the Zilla Beast and what's going to end up with that. You know, that's the plus side to this not being the end and not quite getting to Mount Tantus yet.
I guess I do think that there is a little bit of disappointment that we didn't see more. We did get a really cool tease right at the end, but I was hoping that we would really get to explore Mount Tantus and see more, which I think we will have to in season 3 now that Omega and Crosshair are there. So I'm looking forward to that, but it was like at the end of season 1, we saw Mount Tantus, and I was like, oh man, we're going to spend a lot of time there. And then we didn't see it again until episode 11 of season 2, which I was like, oh, well, finally. So I do hope that all roads lead to Mount Tantus again for season 3 so that we can find out what's going on in there.
Yeah. Garrett McDowell and Starchasm asks what cloning mechanic it is that Nala Se claims is impossible.
What the Emperor wants is impossible. I think that the obvious choice is trying to clone himself and then have the ability to put his spirit into that body and retain his force powers and all that.
Yeah, I think the idea of cloning and trying to create clone versions of midichlorians, something along the lines of the Force. Like, I think it's Force related.
Yeah, it makes sense because you can't just clone it. There's a spiritual aspect of the Force, not just biological. Even though midichlorians are biological, there's still this whole spiritual, mystical side of the Force that, like, science can't replicate.
Yeah, you have to be a terrible person to use the dark side.
Yeah, like,
there's no guarantee that your clone will be a terrible person.
Yeah, well, I think you actually make a really good point. That's one of the Clone Wars lessons that hate is taught. Like, no one's born evil. You have to go through experiences. So just a clone is like, okay, I'm ready to be the host of the most evil wizard in the galaxy. Like, come on.
What if he's more interested in art and Squid Lake operas and being involved in the Senate? Yeah.
I mean, the Clone Wars itself showed us that these genetically identical people are all individuals and their experiences shape them. So yeah, I think you're right on the money.
Now I'm just picturing all the rejected clones of Palpatine just being super nice guys, and he's like, no, dang it.
I mean, Dathan, like, You are correct.
Yeah.
He was a super nice guy, and he escaped.
And
Tried to have a family.
And we're so glad he did.
Yeah, and everyone was mad at him on Exegol. Like, he was... they called him an abomination or something.
Because he was nice.
Yeah, because he was nice and he wasn't force sensitive. And it was just like, oh, we're so disappointed in you. Why couldn't you be more evil? Oh. But I wanted to bring up Garrett. But also, Garrett brings up the kind of societal side of what Hemlock said at the summit, where he's like, through cloning, we can alter the public's... I forget exactly what he said, but it sounded like he wanted to shape society itself through cloning. I don't know what that means at all. That seems really heady, and...
Yeah.
That also sounds impossible, to be fair.
I mean, he could be just generalizing cloning technology as a way to mind control people, essentially. But I think...
Yeah, maybe like the inhibitor chips or something.
Yeah, I think it's more along those lines. Or he's just got this big, crazy plan for, like, years and years in the future that, like, everyone will be clones?
Maybe? I kind of like the idea that he is just... telling Tarkin something, but it's not really his true intentions, that he is lying to Tarkin about what he's doing on Mount Tantus, and he's got his own interests that he's trying to figure out. I kind of like that idea too, but I do not know what he means in the summit.
Framed Citizen asks, what are our favorite new additions to lore from this season?
Riot racing comes to mind.
Yeah, I do like that there's other kinds of racing sports in Star Wars besides pod racing.
I liked seeing the more spiritual side of the Wookiees. I really just liked seeing that whole storyline that was cut from the Clone Wars get to play out.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know if that's a new addition to lore so much as just like, yeah, we're bringing it back. But that means that we got a lot of things like the Wookiees and their own connection to the Force and nature and the big old monkey riding things that they had and the Kinraths. I liked all that stuff.
Yeah. I like Senator Chuchi being involved and being someone who is actively fighting for clone rights. Like, the stuff from the Senate in this season was really, really interesting, especially after watching Andor. And like, seeing her just try to be more involved, even though it's probably not going to get too far, but I just thought that she was the perfect person to be involved with that.
Yeah, such a fun choice to bring back. From that same episode, I really liked the new clone, whatever that is. Like, it's hard to say that's my favorite new thing because I don't know what it is yet, but I'm intrigued.
The assassin.
Yeah.
Kind of a blank slate clone.
Right. I like that. Honestly, Hemlock might be my favorite addition to the universe. I think he is a really interesting villain, very compelling, makes you kind of lean forward when he talks because he's a whisperer. He's a quiet talker. And
I never trust him.
Yeah. I like his little character detail of the glove that he's always kind of like gripping. Again, I don't know much about the guy, but I am compelled by him.
Yeah. I also really loved, I don't know if this is a new ship, but that ship that they rescue the clones in with that detached...
Oh, yeah, the Leechcraft.
The Leechcraft,
yeah. That's a really cool one.
Cool name, cool ship, amazing sequence of the clones just being total badasses and coming in and getting their boys.
Yeah, Leechcraft is a good pick.
Lil God asks if Season 3 will be the last.
Obviously, we don't know. I think that it could work. This could be a trilogy story. We certainly feel like we've entered the darkest part of the story here.
Yeah, I have a feeling 3 will be the last because we're getting to the point now where in the finale, you know, we had Hunter talking to Omega about settling down on Pabu and saying we need to leave behind the life of being soldiers. So the story of the Bad Batch is kind of coming to a close, or they're getting close to it. Obviously, it's kind of messy right now, but once we get closure with the members of the Bad Batch and we figure out if there's a safe place for the clones, the clones that are left to go. Maybe it is Pabu. Maybe a lot of clones go to live there in peace. You know, those are some of the things that need to get wrapped up still. And I think it could end with everyone being happy on Pabu and Tech is there. And that's it. That's the end.
Yeah. We had discussions about these episodes before they came out, and our friends at Force Center were saying like they might be wrapping this story up, and then how quickly it explodes back open. So while I am like, I could see season 3 being the final season, there's no guarantee they could build to something bigger. I think we had this question at the end of season 1 as well of like, will season 2 be the final season? As we were approaching the end of season 1, we were like, are we getting a season 2? We don't know. So this series has been interesting where it feels like it could be a yes and a no at the same time, all the time.
Jordan Catley and Ormappa ask what the structure of season 3 will be like.
So I would like to have a little more shared screen time with all the members of the Batch this time around. And I think we will, because Omega is pretty central to the show. I don't think we're not going to see her. It might be like one episode on Tantus, one episode about Hunter and Echo and Wrecker trying to find her. But I think we're going to see a lot more of Crosshair, for example.
Yeah, I mean, with the drop of Omega having a clone sister at the finale, like, we've got to know more about that. And that feels like something that we can't get too far into season 3 without going back to, because that was a huge cliffhanger.
Yeah, well, Crosshair was in 3 episodes this season. I guess 4 if you count the very last one, but he wasn't even conscious. So I want to see more Crosshair. I'd like to see more Regs as well. And I think that's also the case. I think it makes a lot of sense for Hunter to say, oh, we're going to get her back no matter what it takes. And we'll never stop until we find her. Well, I think that the clones have that same mission. You know, they want to help the Regs who've been captured get away from Tantus. So I think this could help drive Hunter and Wrecker to join Echo with Rex. And then a bunch of clones are working together. They assault Mount Tantus.
Yeah.
This time they actually get there.
Yeah.
And everything goes great. Nobody dies and we're happy.
Well, I think we are probably going to see some version of a clone uprising. And it's not going to be this huge ordeal because there's not enough of them to take down the Empire. That it's just not going to happen. But we need closure for all the clones. And we might not get that for all the clones, but we need some of it. We need Cody back too. Like, he never came back.
We need Cody, we need Wolf. I'd love to just see more familiar faces.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to wrap up a show like this. Just getting a few name drops of some more familiar characters where we can be like, yeah, they did it. They made it out.
Yeah, I think an assault on Mount Tantus as the clone uprising would work for me. I don't think it has to be a galactic scale, all the clones are fighting the Empire. I don't think that would happen. But if a bunch of clones did band together to, and they actually brought this up in the season finale, Ramadi or Coburn, they were like, what happens if the clones find out what we're doing to them? Or what if they take up arms against us? It's like, yeah, they know that something bad is happening. Once they find out where it is happening, they're gonna come for you. So I think there will be like a big clone assault on Tantus, and that would be super cool.
And then they'll be like, oh, it's a mining disaster.
Yeah.
What a terrible thing that happened over there.
And then hopefully a bunch of clones go and retire on Pabu and live happily ever after.
Yes. And Wrecker gets to do all the fishing he wants. And Tech is there.
And Tech is there too. That's all the time we have for questions today. We are not going to do a Q&A next week because it'll be in the middle of Celebration. We're just not going to have time to film and edit one. So
we'll do a double-size one the next week.
We're going to do a big Celebration-themed Q&A after Celebration. and it'll be a lot of fun. We'll take all your questions about hopefully all the news that dropped.
Yeah.
And we'll have fun talking about that. But if you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
And as always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.